How much will monthly cash payments likely be for the low income? That's exactly what we're going to cover in this video, so let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, it's great to see you as always. I hope you're having a nice day. If you haven't done so yet, or if you happen to be new here, welcome to the channel, and please make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video, as it is totally 100% free to do so. Thank you. I truly appreciate each and every one of you, and let's get into this. So this video is actually a follow-up to a few videos that I released over the last few days talking about monthly cash payments for low-income individuals. I didn't anticipate I would be making this many follow-up videos to those two that I made a few days ago talking about that article that I pulled off of Bloomberg talking about guaranteed income for low-income individuals. I continue to get a lot of questions on those couple of videos, one of which being exactly what we're going to talk about in this video, being how much will the payments likely be if/when they actually are approved. Now, before we get into it, let's talk about something really quickly here. I just have to be totally clear 100% right away from the very start. These monthly payments have not been approved as of right now. However, we do know that the framework is being established for monthly guaranteed income payments for low-income individuals, okay? This is something that they continue to work on behind the scenes, and as we've been saying for almost a year now, we're probably expecting something like this to come through at some point relatively soon, as in monthly cash payments. We've seen this been talked about many, many times now. They refer to it in many different ways: universal basic income, guaranteed income, monthly stimulus checks. Like we've talked about in previous follow-up videos, it's all basically the same thing. Essentially, monthly cash payments focused on low-income individuals, okay? So it's basically what it is, and you probably know that because we've talked about it in previous follow-up videos. So anyway, this is probably going to be the last follow-up to those couple that I released a few days ago, but either way, I want to do what my commitment to you, which is answer your questions and do whatever I possibly can to talk through these topics and continue to be here for you in any way that I possibly can. So I figured that this was a pretty important question, considering I continue to get this question many, many times. Every day I see this question, so you know what? I just wanted to make this dedicated video for you. All right, so sorry. I know that was kind of a lot of talking right there, but let's get just down to it. All right, so what we know about these guaranteed income programs or UBI programs, anything like this that offer monthly cash payments. Here's the thing with these payments and these programs. Generally, the amount of money that they typically offer. Now, again, I just want to make it very clear one more time. It has not been approved yet, but if/when we do expect this program to be passed and something like this to actually be implemented. When something like this is actually passed and implemented for the low income, how much can we expect the payments to be? Realistically, probably anywhere between $500 per month and $1,000. Now, typically, I would say probably not less than $500. The reason I say that is because many of the pilot programs that are going on out there right now all around the country, probably the baseline number for most of these programs is $500. That's kind of like the minimum that you typically see is $500. Now, there's a lot of these pilot programs going on all around the country right now, and many of them which supply $500 per month to the people who are eligible for these programs. It's just a no strings attached payment. I can actually talk about that more here in just a second. But here's the deal. $500 is typically kind of like the line in the sand at the bottom. Now, of course, it could be less, but generally you see $500. Now, $1,000 is once again, like a glass ceiling on the upper end. Of course, it can go higher than that, but generally you see about $1,000 being the cap. Now, of course, there are programs that do offer more than that. I've actually referred to this program before, but it's one over on the East Coast. I believe it's in New York, where they focus on giving young homeless people $1,250 per month. Okay, well, like I've said in other videos, the reason they're probably getting $1,250 a month is because this is in New York. The cost of living is probably higher, right? I mean, all of us know it's pretty expensive to live in New York, right? So maybe that's why they're giving them an extra $250 per month over the 1,000 kind of glass ceiling. Again, there's no rules necessarily wrapped around this saying it must be between $500 and $1,000. No, that's just generally kind of the range in which they send out these payments is $500 to $1,000. So For those of you who have been asking, that's kind of the range typically that is being sent out for these guaranteed income type programs like that. Guaranteed income, UBI, whatever you want to call it, it's all kind of one and the same, just cash payments for low income people. All right, so let's quickly talk about this no strings attached. I've had a few people asking, what does that mean? Here's the thing, no strings attached essentially just means that's it. You just get the money and there's just no obligation to spend it on anything in particular. They just basically look at your situation and they say, okay, based on your income, based on your, your resources, your assets, maybe you fall into an age category, or maybe you fall into a gender category or a demographic or whatever they happen to determine your eligibility by. They basically just say, okay, you're eligible based on blank, 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 whatever it happens to be. And then they say, here is a cash payment of $500, $800, $1,000, whatever they determine. And they just say, do whatever you see fit. Whether it's you need to buy groceries with $200 of it and pay utilities with the other $300, or maybe you have to buy groceries for $300 and spend the remaining on clothes, utilities, and other bills or miscellaneous. Doesn't really matter. Essentially, no strings attached just simply means just whatever you see fit with the payments. That's kind of how these programs typically work. Now, in some instances, for example, I can think of one program in upstate New York. They have a program where it's a pilot program where they're sending out, I believe, $500 per individual who is eligible for the program. It's every so often, I'm not sure the frequency in which they send this out, but they do send out a survey, and they basically just want to know, how are you spending the money? Now, I'm not sure if it's an optional survey where you can just decide if you want to answer it or not, or if it's something that when you sign up for the program, they say, hey, we'll give you the money, but you need to fill out this survey for us every month or quarter or whatever it happens to be. I'm not really sure the frequency of the survey, but that could be another option. And the reason that they do the surveys is not to monitor how you spend the money. They don't really care. They just want to know, is the program being used in which, it would be beneficial to many more people? They just want to get an idea of, because these are pilot programs, remember, it's like a beta test, right? You know what a beta test is? Basically, they get a small sample group of people and they kind of figure out, okay, let's bring these few people in and see what's going on here and let them use the product, use the service or whatever, and then come back to us with their findings and their feedback so we can adjust it accordingly to make it suited for everybody else. It's kind of like what these pilot programs are. Essentially, they find a small handful of people and they just kind of say, hey, you're eligible for the program, let's give you the money. In exchange, we're going to ask you to fill out this survey so we can better tailor the program to many more people as we roll it out on a larger scale, right? So does that make sense? So that's kind of what's going on with these programs. But either way, if it comes out on a national level, I doubt there's going to be surveys. Maybe there will be, but I'm guessing if it's coming out on a national level, there's probably not going to be surveys, because at that point, it'll probably be perfected to the point where they just know that, hey, these programs work. Monthly payments, monthly cash payments, guaranteed income, UBI, whatever they want to name it or whatever they want to call it. They just know going into these programs, they do have success with these programs, and they do know that it's going to give the cash to the people who actually need it. So at that point, a nationwide program, micromanaging, let's just call it that. Micromanaging probably would not be required at that point, right? They'll basically just look at your situation, and I'm not sure if they would look at it based on a tax return or if you would need to apply. However it would be, a lot of these pilot programs, you actually do need to apply, as in they have an application process where you send in your information and, maybe it's a phone interview, maybe it's an in-person interview or something. Not really sure. It's probably different based on the program, but they basically just look at your situation and say, okay, looks good, based on your credentials, looks based on your demographics, your earnings, your resources, things like this, maybe how many kids you have. You'll be eligible. One more thing, I've had this question also. I just thought of this one. I want to point it out. I've had a number of people reach out also asking, do you need to have kids in order to be eligible? Generally, no. So one other thing that's going on right now is the child tax credit, right? That is focused on families with kids. So that is only for families with kids. However, these guaranteed income programs generally do not revolve around whether you have kids or not. It's generally like a needs-based program, as in, If your income is low enough, if your resources are low enough, and your demographics are, within the parameters of what they set, then you'd be eligible, right? In most situations. It has nothing to do with kids for the most part, right? That's what the child tax credit, that's where that comes in on the federal level, whereas these other UBI or guaranteed income programs, it's just, they look at other things. So no, those of you who have been asking about if it's based on kids, generally, no. Nope, it's not based on that at all, okay? So, I hope that answers a bunch of questions, and like I said, I didn't anticipate making this many follow-up videos, but as I've said to you so many times, my commitment is to be here for you to answer your questions and to keep you updated. So I've been making these follow-up videos to help you out in any way that I can to kind of help clarify everything on these guaranteed income programs. I know it's confusing. I get it. There's a lot of moving parts with these things, and it seems like the parameters change rapidly all the time, like the eligibility and just different names and programs and all kinds of things. So I get it. It's confusing. There's a lot going on out there right now. So I just want to be here in any way that I can to help you out and to keep you updated / just answer your questions and kind of talk you through this. So anyway, hope this answers the question for those of you that have been asking based on, the dollar amounts, the kids, all the other things that we focused on in this video. So again, thank you so much for being here. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right down below the video, as it is totally free and one of the last free things you can do anymore, as it seems that everything costs a bunch of money now these days. Even like the most basic things, right? Getting to be kind of expensive out there, right? So anyway, yes, the subscribe button and all my videos are 100% free. You do not need to pay even a penny for any of it. Totally 100% free, just like I like it, right? My favorite price. Anyway, go back and check out some other videos right here on the channel. Feel free to go back if you didn't see those videos from a few days ago. They are titled something like Monthly Cash Payments for Low Income. There's the first one, and then there's a follow-up part 2 to those videos as well, which I can always link down below if you'd like to. All right, so anyway, thanks again, everybody. I truly appreciate you, and I'll see you again in the next video.